Eli Paperboy Reed, welcome to Australian Musician.
Happy to be here.
You're touring Australia in May. What are your memories of the first time you came here?
First time I came was in 2009. Um, and I had a blast. I was at the very beginning of my career and it was sort of a whirlwind. I had gone all over Europe and toured all over the US and to Japan and all these places I just couldn't have imagined going to play music.
Yeah, you're touring with the Harlem Gospel Travelers. Tell me about the first time you heard them or saw them. How did you connect with those guys?
Well, they were students of mine. We sort of the group was sort of created out of an after school program that I was teaching, and they were my students, and we started working together and making basically the first album they recorded, He's on Time, was just sort of a culmination of excuse me, what the program had been. So we recorded all the songs that we had been learning and playing, and people really liked it, and some members came and went, but the two core guys, Ife Dio and George, are were my students going way back to 2013.
Okay, so when you come down to Australia, how many people are going to be on stage?
Well, I'm playing with the Meltdown, who are an Australian band. They're going to be the backing band for this tour, and I believe there's six of them, and then myself. And then when the Harlem Gospel Travelers are on stage with us, that'll be another three. So I think there'll be 10 of us all together.
Yeah, big sound.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what's your approach to set list? Do you actually have one? If you do, how far ahead do you think about that?
I think about it pretty far ahead, actually, because, especially if you're working with a band that you've never worked with before, they need to learn it. Sorry, that's my cat. So I've put it together. It's fun because I get to play music from kind of all across the different eras of my career, including going back to this very first album that we're about to reissue. So that'll be fun. I get to play things that I kind of played just starting out, and from every record between then and now.
Yeah. We haven't spoken before, so I wanted to go way back a little bit for a little
Sure.
while. What are some of your earliest musical memories?
I played with my dad growing up, but even before that, I loved uh, Chuck Berry and Buddy Holly, stuff like that when I was 4 or 5 years old, and then I got really, really deep into country music when I was 9 or 10, and took a trip to Nashville with my dad when I was 10, and went to the Grand Ole Opry and that sort of stuff. I mean, I've just had strong opinions about what I have liked, starting from a very, very young age. And, when I got to be a teenager, I started playing harmonica and playing blues and my dad would play guitar and we would play together. So that was sort of the beginning of me playing, you know, in a more real capacity and singing too.
You got to play at the Opry, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Bless. It was a really a dream come true.
Yeah. So what's the goal every time you go on stage?
The goal is to make people feel something, to enjoy themselves. The goal is to entertain almost always. I don't feel that there is honestly anything better, or more important than making people leave themselves for an hour and a half and just embrace being in the space with me and other people who are just taking the music in and letting it envelop them.
Yeah, especially these days in such a chaotic world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have any pre-show rituals?
I warm up. I do vocal warm-ups to keep me healthy, and then that's really it. I sing a little bit, not too much. Otherwise, yeah, that's sort of it. I mean, I what I do on stage is very physical, and it takes a lot of especially now, it takes a lot of physical power. So I'll stretch and things like that.
Yeah, you're such a vibrant performer. Who are the performers that you've seen that inspired you to be that way?
I mean, perform gospel singers. pretty much all of them. Both, on records and in real life, even still today, you know, local groups and not famous people, just, you know, gospel singers, church singers, more than anything. And when I lived in Mississippi, the people that I saw and played with in Mississippi were really inspiring to me and kind of taught me how to be an entertainer, you know, in that way, how to really get the attention of the audience.
Yeah. When did you first pick up the guitar?
I was probably 13 or 14. I mean, there was a guitar in the house that was my dad's, and I just picked it up and tuned it open and started playing slide. That was sort of the beginning of because I had seen my dad play slide and I just tuned the guitar to open E or whatever and started trying to play Elmore James.
Yeah. So, what are your main guitars, and are there any sentimental stories as to how you acquired them?
My main guitar that I play on the road is a 67 Gibson ES 330, which I love, absolutely love it. It's got a really long neck, and I just love the way it sounds. It's super aggressive. Um, my guitar that I've had for the longest is my Gibson 56 ES 225. That's a guitar that you see on the cover of the Walking and Talking album from, the beginning of the my career uh, from 20 years ago. So I've had that guitar since I got that guitar living in Mississippi. I bought it there. So you have to wonder who owned it before me, and I don't know the answer to that, but having a guitar from that, I always, as a kid, wanted to have a 50s Gibson and I have a lot of, I got a lot of cool instruments, but not, I don't, I think it's, it's in the player, not in the guitar necessarily. But I got cool stuff. I got a lot of old guitars.
Yeah. Um, as you said, 20 years since Walking and Talking, another smash hits,
Hmm.
which has been re-released on June 6th.
Yeah.
The single that you're releasing is Stop Talking in Your Sleep, a very raw sounding track. Under what conditions was that recorded?
That and so that's from the bonus disc.
Oh,
We're putting out this double LP, and those recordings on that second disc were made at a radio station in the Boston area. And that was, I think there might have been two microphones or something like that. So that was sort of we myself and the guys who were playing on that would play. I would play on the street fairly often, and sometimes like on the weekends they would come and play with me too. And a student at Harvard at the time was doing the blues show on their radio station and saw us playing on the street and asked us to come in and do a session. So that's what that was.
yeah. And I believe you sold the hell out of that while you were busking.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, made some money doing it.
Well, what drove you back then? There must have been days when you thought, I'll never get anywhere. What kept you going?
I was just not thinking. I mean, I was, in my early 20s and I wasn't exactly thinking about the future all that much. Um, and, I got this band together back then and started playing around Boston and people started to pay attention. And things kind of developed from there. Yeah, again, I mean, I was just super young and wasn't sure what was going to happen next, but I knew that I wanted to play and keep playing and starting to write songs and all that. So that was just, I just was, young and excited.
Yeah. When you think back on your 20-year career, what are your strongest memories?
I mean, playing the Opry was amazing. Playing on uh Jules Holland. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the people that I got to meet and play with. And my idols, I got to play with Otis Clay. I got to play with Barbara Lynn. I got to play with Roscoe Robinson. I got to play with, I got just an amazing amount of unbelievably legendary musicians and singers, which I just never would have imagined uh, that would have happened. And also some not legendary people that had huge influence on me in my life. you know, over the course, people like Mitty Collier or this guy, his name was Deacon Randy Green, who was the leader of the Silverleaf Gospel Singers in Boston that I became a member of. All those guys in that group were in their 70s and 80s and had grown up singing gospel music, and they brought me into their fold and taught me about gospel quartet music.
Yeah.
So I just had some opportunities that I never would have imagined to have, and people that I got to meet and make music with, you know, and experience, in real life and not just on record in ways that I couldn't have predicted.
What's the wildest show you've ever played?
Hmm. Wildest how? Like the most like,
Crowd reaction?
oh, okay. I think probably in 2008 when the Roll With You album came out, I went on tour in Europe and we were on tour basically for 2 straight months. Um, I mean, and this was right after a US tour. I mean, it was just epic amount of touring at that time. And the last show of that tour was in Barcelona, and we were playing this big amphitheater, but it had these big steps that went up to the stage. It wasn't like the stage was like high up and then people were low down. It was stepped up. And basically at the end of the show, we just got the entire, I mean, there must have been 700 people or even 1,000 people in there, and basically everybody just ran up on the stage and they just kind of surrounded us as we finished the set, and it was just, I mean, everybody just was like by the end of it throwing the guitars and pouring beer on everybody and all that stuff. It was pretty crazy. That was great. That was a great show.
Yeah. Down Every Road from 2022, I think was your last studio record.
Yeah, last studio album. That's right.
What's happening recording wise at the moment?
I'm about to get in the studio basically after this touring is over and make a new album of original music. I've got a bunch of cool stuff lined up that I'm not going to disclose as of yet, but I think it's going to be really fun, and I'm excited to kind of enter the third decade with a bang.
Yeah. If you could only ever play three albums for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Listen to 3 albums
Yeah.
of like from some. Okay, let's see. Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square Club is my favorite album of all time. Um, so there's that. Although it's tough because that's a hard album to listen to because it's so intense. Anyway, this is me just spitballing. I love what's it called? A particular Merle Haggard record that has all of my favorite Merle. I'd have to look it up, but this particular Merle record, probably from '66 or '67, I would put on that list. And then hmm, maybe. In the Morning by the Dixie Hummingbirds. That would be a good one.
Okay.
I could get by with those three.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to most about the Australian tour?
Oh, I mean, I just love Australian audiences. I think it's, everybody's there to have a good time and enjoy themselves. And, I love going to Australia. The food is amazing. The people are really wonderful and friendly for the most part. And, it's been a long time. I think it'll be really fun to play some of this music that I've never been able to perform over there. And that's fun, you know.
What are you most proud of in your music career?
Good question. I mean, I'm proud of being able to play with the legendary people that I've gotten to play with. I mean, I'm proud I was able to do that. I'm proud of longevity. I know it's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch that anyone can make a 20-year career in music. I feel incredibly fortunate and blessed. I have two small children, and I'm able to raise them and be a dad and still make a living being an artist as much as I possibly can, and that's pretty great.
Yeah. Well, Eli, it's been great to chat, and we look forward to seeing you down here very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.